It's time for the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Each week, Trading Stocks Made Easy demystifies stock trading and investing so you can profit big. And now, here's the host of Trading Stocks Made Easy, the wealthy investor, Tyrone Jackson.
And welcome back to Trading Stocks Made Easy. I'm your host, Tyrone Jackson. Do you know that there's some things in the stock market that you may not have thought about? I talk to you an awful lot in this program about being a stock market millionaire. Now, this is interesting if you have something called vision. I'm not referring to the vision that you use to walk around with to get to your destination. I'm talking about imagination, seeing your future, what you want your life to look like. Okay, that's the business that I'm in, helping you get there. Even if no one in your family has been a stock market millionaire, guess what? You, yes, you, listening to me right now, you can do that. Well, think about it with me. If you can become a stock market millionaire, can't you become a stock market, multimillionaire? The answer is you can. One of my favorite sayings in the world of wealth goes like this: the first million is the hardest. I actually saw a variation on that. A guy named Boone Pickens wrote a book called The First Billion is the Hardest. And I thought that was a wonderful play on that idea. Well, in order to do anything, you need an education, right? And as you know, to participate in the stock market at a seven-figure level, you need an education. To go to multi-millions, you're using the same education over and over, just with larger blocks or chunks of money. That is it. Now, what I did when I started out in the stock market about 17 years ago, I was still kind of in love with real estate, so I owned stocks and real estate. Today, all my real estate holdings are sold, and I am solely a stock market trader, but now I own businesses. So I like systems. So let me show you a really quick system. If I could use the money from the stock market, the covered call premium and my dividends, as kind of like, quite frankly, the bank, then that bank is giving me money to buy businesses that do what? Generate cash. Now, the reality is, when you own multiple businesses, some businesses throw off more net profits than others, but you're in a cycle. You took the money from the stock market, you invested in a business that generates revenue, you take a portion of that revenue, put it back in the stock market, and you just keep growing your assets. And most people don't know you're doing that behind the scenes. And I love that system that I've created that allows me to be the bank. It's not very stressful. It's just that I have to pay attention to numbers from the business side of things and from the market side of things. But am I living a life that is unlike most people? Yes, it is. I can be the bank. You can be the bank. Anyone can. It's all about having your vision. What do you see for yourself? Well, I see in the next 2 to 5 years, all of my businesses growing, some changing, but I see revenue increasing on all fronts. And that's not based on my present day reality. That's based on the methodologies I've developed to grow the streams at the business. Okay? All right. Well, vision really determines your whole life. If you have no vision, you will always be trading time for dollars and wondering how you got there. But if you have vision, or as some people may call it, a plan, guess what? Your life is going to be bigger and better because your brain tends to follow the data that you put in, which is your plan or your vision. So no matter what you come up with, your brain will automatically, by default, if you think about it enough, it will help you achieve that vision or that plan. It can't help it because you put good data in, you're going to get great results out. Now, let me tell you something when you have a vision or plan. Everything you plan on, guess what? Something bigger and better is going to happen. Some people say it's called luck. The harder you work, the luckier you get. This is why billionaires usually have multi levels of billionaire income, because once you achieve it once, you take that plan and you slap it on another business and you execute it. You take that plan, you slap it on another business. People offer you greater opportunities, and then you have a kind of momentum going. Well, it turns out that same vision can work for you in the stock market as long as you have a plan. So sometimes when I'm talking to you about trades, I'm talking to your future mindset. I'm intentionally speaking to the idea of you in the future, not where you are right now. Your brain will take you financially as far as you're willing to go, as long as you have a methodology and a plan. So let's talk about our plan as part of the Wealthy Investor Program. What does that mean? The plan means you're going to take 1/3 of everything that you have and you're going to put it in stable stocks that are members of the Dow Jones Industrial Average or the S&P 500. Those shares historically rise. So in effect, your wealth is on automatic pilot because you're investing in the Dow stocks, right? Those Dow stocks also generate dividends for you. You don't have to do anything. Even if you know anything about trading, those dividends happen auto-magically. That's why we love investing in dividend-paying stocks. Same thing is true with members of the S&P 500. If the company is established, they're going to throw off dividends. So you can't help but to be richer because every 13 weeks you get dividends checks from those companies. Got it? Right. But what's going on in the stock market right now is there's an awful lot of room to grow in the area of AI. Some days it seems that all of Wall Street is all about the stocks that are companies of artificial intelligence. Now, here's the danger. That trend may never play itself out as big as some people think it will. But if it does, it's going to create more millionaires and billionaires because there are people who own shares now that presumably will be higher 3 years from now, 5 years, 7 years from now. The only difference with artificial intelligence, it's a technology that's going to change how we do a lot of things technologically. So we don't know what those changes are, but someone will be presumably making a profit from it. At the same time, if you weren't overwhelmed by the idea of AI stocks, there are traditional stocks that are doing very well. I talk about them on the show all the time, like Costco performing very well right now, Home Depot doing very, very well, and there are others that are steady eddies that are growing exponentially. Okay, so you get to choose what sector of the marketplace you want to invest in. That's the good news. The gooder news, or even better news, is certain sectors are just on fire. And if you could receive a dividend and watch your portfolio grow on a monthly basis, you are in the driver's seat. The only thing that's going to determine your success is how much money are you putting in the market. Okay, so you may have noticed that sometimes I talk to you about companies that buy 1 million shares of a company that they really like. Okay. Now, again, today's podcast is all about if you owned 1 million shares, what would your life be like? Well, if you owned 1 million shares of, let's say, Microsoft, and the stock moved up $1 and you sold your 1 million shares, for every $1 increase, you'd make $1 million, right? For every $2 increase in the stock, you'd earn $2 million if you sold the shares. Well, who in the world is doing this? No matter what share count or share size I talk to you about, I assure you, someone made $1 million in the stock market just today alone. Because if I can buy 1 million shares of something, wait for the stock to move up $1, some stocks move $2 per day. But if I'm only willing to capture a $1 uptick, as we call it, I could theoretically make $1 million every day that stock moves up. I sell it, buy it back, do it over and over and over again. Well, instead of just doing that same trade over and over and over again, what if I had a plan? I'd take the first $1 million and I would invest it in a stock that pays a dividend for the long term. Now, maybe I'm just investing in that stock for 6 months. It moves up, I take profits. Do you get it? So a plan for wealth is simply that, a plan for wealth. Are you trading and investing in the stock market right now with the idea of getting wealthier? as both a trader and a long-term investor? If you are, you're working some level, some aspect of what the Wealthy Investor Program is all about. Now, there's some shows that I can't appear on now because when I start explaining to people how to trade and invest in the stock market, the producers of that show say, hey, that sounds too easy. You're a fraudster of some kind. Well, I have to speak to those producers who refuse to have me on their shows to say it's not fraud. And now I'm going to show you why. What kind of companies would be trading in million share blocks? Okay, let's look at it. First is your local bank. Did you know there's a high likelihood that your bank has money in the stock market that's being traded on a daily basis? Yes, they take in your money, deposits, and what's the real job of a bank? Not so much to keep track of your money. They are making money on the idea of money. When you put your money in a bank, they pay you a small amount of interest, and they take that money where? They put it in places like Wall Street. So I won't mention the name of a specific bank, but if you're constantly charging customers fees, a portion of that money, believe me, makes its way to Wall Street as an investment, and the other part of it makes its way to trade. Because when you buy 1 million shares of something and that stock just runs up very quickly $1 million and you sell those shares, you could make $1 million a day. And who has the money to do that? Your local bank. Yes, your local bank. Now, credit unions don't do this quite as much because they don't have as much capital on hand, but we do see that constantly at banks. Who else is taking money and putting it in the stock market? Your insurance company. Now, if you own a home, you're paying an insurance company to insure that home. If you own an automobile, you're probably paying that insurance company to insure your car. Well, if there are millions of people paying the same amount of insurance premiums every single month, that is cash coming in. Your local insurance company has billions of dollars in the stock market. Why? How many employees do they have to pay who buy 1 million shares and wait for a stock to run up $1? Well, they don't have to hire a lot of people to do that. That becomes a very efficient way of making money. So this idea of buying 1 million shares, waiting for them to move up $1 and making $1 million should not be foreign to you right now. But since today's episode is all about what you may not know in the stock market, let me help you out and let's go a step further. Not only is your bank doing this, trading 1 million shares, your insurance company doing that, there are construction companies that hire other companies to handle their money. Why? Because when you buy 1 million shares and it goes up $1 or $2, you're making $1 or $2 million on every uptick in the stock. That construction company is now like a bank because if they're getting $2 or $3 million out of the stock market, they can finance real estate. Right? So when you open the paper, your local, well, you're probably not reading the paper as much, but when you're going online and you're reading about all these multimillionaires, most of them are somehow connected to Wall Street. Why? The money is fast and you don't have to pay a lot of money to someone to manage the money in the account. Do you get it? So cash on cash return is everything for people who can buy 1 million shares because it's quick income that is predictable. I've talked about college endowments a lot on this show over the years, and your favorite college is making their money with cash in. What? Renting rooms and dorms and marking up meal plans and the cost of getting a degree. That is an income generating business. But where are they getting the revenue from? Where are they getting the income from? Obviously from the people who are studying at the university who receive what? Government financial aids. Don't let the marketplace fool you. There are businesses that make billions and billions of dollars with cash flow from the government. When you pull in that cash flow as revenue, it can be reinvested where? In Wall Street. You see, if you have some vision that your business or your pursuit, whatever it is that you're doing for a living, can participate in the stock market without the extra cost of an employee because you're putting your financial knowledge to work. Now, When we come back after this break, there are two other companies or sectors of the marketplace that generate millions of dollars that may shock and surprise you. I'll share that with you right after this.
Want to increase your stock market trading profits? Then you need to start your monthly membership to WITradeschool.com right now. Don't understand how to write covered calls for monthly income? No problem. Simply review Tyrone's latest stock trades in our video library as many times as you need. WITradeschool.com is all about helping you get the financial education you need to earn money in the stock market and change your financial life. Tyrone Jackson, the wealthy investor, has helped his students earn thousands of dollars per month trading stocks online from home. These are people just like you. So what are you waiting for? Follow Tyrone Jackson's red-hot stock trades and investment strategies today. Don't wait. Start your monthly membership at WITradeschool.com right now.
Welcome back. All right, let's just take a deep dive right into it. There are companies that have money in the stock market, but not in that company's name. Okay? So what you can do is start a corporation in any state in the United States. These days, it'll cost you anywhere from $300, and if you really want to go fancy, $3,500 to start the corporation. But that corporation is just your stock trading arm. You don't want to trade in your primary corporate's name, so you start another corporation, and that corporation is handling your cash-on-cash investment returns. So let me ask you this. Have you ever stopped and considered how much money the NBA must have on Wall Street? Well, first of all, how much money are they taking in TV contracts and ticket sales and concessions, right? And how much of that money must be going out to Wall Street in a separate corporation? You don't know because it's not in your face. And on the surface, those funds you cannot track because you're a member of the public. But doesn't it make sense that the NBA has money in Wall Street in a separate corporation? Doesn't it make sense that the NFL has money on Wall Street in a separate corporation? Doesn't it make sense that some of these teams who pay out these enormous salaries have money on Wall Street in your favorite stock in a separate corporation? Where do you think they're getting the money to pay these players? You see, when you sit down and you become educated and you think about it, there's all kind of money that's coming from Wall Street that's flowing into an investment account that pays salaries through another corporation. Kind of fascinating. Do you get the picture? Yes. So any industry that's huge, high likelihood some of the money that they're generating is coming from Wall Street. Now, when I say set up a corporation, I'm talking about setting up a corporation in the U.S. How many of these sports leagues, cable channels, streaming services are really getting their money from offshore corporations that trade in the stock market? Now, let me tell you how this game goes. Really interesting. If your company XYZ, you do business in the United States, but you can legally, with the help of people who know how to do this, set up a corporation that's not in the United States, and it can participate in the U.S. stock market. That corporation, under certain circumstances, can move money back into the United States, provided that they pay taxes, and the rest of the money generated outside of the U.S. is tax-free. Now, moving money back into the United States is called repatriation, right? Keeping it out of the United States so it grows tax-free is called smart, okay? So there are companies that generate money offshore because they don't have to pay U.S. taxes, which means that they can earn billions and billions of dollars participating in the U.S. market as a foreign corporation. So when you open these fancy magazines and you see these billionaires who live not only in the U.S. and around the world, why do you think they have residences in other countries? Because they are running money in a corporation in other countries. And that money does not have to come back into the United States. It could be spread all over the world, and it could be billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. Why? Because of a $1 uptick in the stock market. Now imagine if you could buy 1 million shares and wait for your favorite stock to move $5 up every day. Instead of $1 million, you'd earn $5 million every day. And that's what's going on Wall Street that you probably didn't recognize until I sat down and gave you this talk. Movies are financed by Wall Street. Pharmaceutical companies are financed by Wall Street. Insurance companies, health club businesses are financed. Almost everything that we look at that is of scale is connected to Wall Street profits in some way, shape, or form. So when I talk to you about the idea of just earning 1 million, you could stop there. You could stop at the idea of just 1 million. But some of you who are listening to me right now, you have $5 million in assets when you add up your home, your 401k, and your business. What are you doing with that money? What are you doing with the value of those assets? Do you just sit and let them go up? Or do you study the wealthy investor approach so that you can get cash on cash on cash on cash on your millions? Now, I started the Wealthy Investor Program to create millionaires. Today, I have many students who are multimillionaires, and I love being able to help them make $1 or $2 million in the stock market without an employee. In fact, I just got off a group coaching call with 2 multimillionaire students back to back, and I helped them do very, very well today. Okay, so you are in charge of the amount of wealth that you create in your lifetime. Isn't that exciting? It starts with your imagination. And if you have some clarity of mind, a financial education, follow my system, you will get to $1 million at some point in your life. You just have to desire it. Does that make sense? Your mind is very powerful. Your thoughts are very powerful. Who you spend most of your time with is your major influence. That's why I'm so grateful that you make sure that you listen to every episode of the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast, because most of your friends are probably not millionaires. But you know, at least one of them. Now you see why. Hey, I'm Tyrone Jackson of thewealthyinvestor.net. Stay with me. Listen to every episode you can of the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. It's designed to motivate you, get you to think about your future, and help you and your family change your life permanently. I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Be sure to rate and review our show on iTunes. While you're on iTunes, be sure to click the subscribe button and you'll automatically receive our next episode.